In this section, we will discuss how the EU is planning to impose sanctions on 7 Chinese companies for allegedly providing equipment and technology to Russia's military in Ukraine. This is a significant development that could escalate the tensions between Brussels and Beijing over the ongoing war in Eastern Europe. According to the Financial Times, the European Commission has proposed a new sanctions list that will be discussed by EU member states this week. The list includes 7 Chinese companies that are accused of supplying Russia with equipment that can be used in weapons, such as microelectronics, computer circuits and drones. Among them are 2 companies from mainland China, 3HC Semiconductors and Kingpai Technology, and 2 from Hong Kong, Sino Electronics and Sigma Technology, that the EU sanctioned earlier. The European Commission claims that these companies are helping Russia circumvent Western sanctions and continue its war against Ukraine, which started in February 2022 with a full-scale invasion by Russian troops. The war has claimed over 10,000 lives and displaced more than 1.5 million people, according to the United Nations. This is the first time that the EU has targeted Chinese companies for supporting Russia's war machine since the conflict began. Previously, the EU had imposed 10 sanctions packages on Russian individuals and entities, as well as some Iranian companies involved in the production and supply of drones to Russia. The move by Brussels is likely to increase the friction with Beijing, which has warned the EU not to sanction its companies for aiding Russia in Ukraine. China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin said on Monday that China opposes actions that use China-Russia cooperation as a pretext to impose illegal sanctions or long-arm jurisdiction against China. He also said that China will take firm action to protect its rights and interests if the EU follows through on its sanctions plan. China and Russia have been strengthening their strategic partnership in recent years, especially in the fields of energy, trade, defense and technology. They have also coordinated their positions on global issues such as Iran's nuclear deal, Syria's civil war and North Korea's nuclear program. China has expressed its support for Russia's stance on Ukraine, calling for a peaceful resolution of the crisis through dialogue and respect for international law. However, some analysts believe that China's involvement in Russia's war effort in Ukraine is not driven by ideological or geopolitical alignment, but rather by economic and pragmatic interests. China is a major importer of Russian oil and gas, as well as a key market for Russian arms exports. China also sees Ukraine as a potential partner in its Belt and Road Initiative, a global infrastructure project that aims to connect Asia with Europe and Africa. Therefore, some experts suggest that the EU should not isolate China over its role in Ukraine, but rather engage it in dialogue and cooperation on other areas of mutual interest, such as climate change, trade and human rights. They argue that the EU should leverage its economic influence and diplomatic clout to persuade China to moderate its support for Russia and contribute to a peaceful solution of the conflict. In this section, we will explore how the EU's foreign policy chief Josep Borrell has urged China to stand up for the international rules-based order and to push Russia to withdraw its forces from Ukraine, saying that China's position on the war will determine the quality of its relations with the EU.